You are now listening to the most talked about blog talk radio station in the universe. Walk in his ways, Impact Voice Radio. Be prepared to have your mind stimulated, your spirit elevated in ways you couldn't even imagine. Introducing your host and the mastermind behind this unforgettable experience, Ferman Jackson Jr. You will not be disappointed. Let's go!
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Walking This Way Impact Voice Podcast. I'm your host, Ferman Jackson Jr. I'm broadcasting you live once again from my new home, my new location of Arlington, Texas, outside of Dallas and Fort Worth. Hope everybody had a great, productive Tuesday, got everything done, got everything set up, set your goals, master your goals. That's what we all about here on the podcast. Have extraordinary people do extraordinary things, share their story to inspire you and to encourage you to be all that God created you to be. So I want to give a big shout out to our special guest tonight, Brandon. He's a tech mogul, and he's been called extraordinary, awesome young man doing major things, global things. I mean, he got some networking out of this world that you would never imagine. So we're going to get off into that tonight. But before we get off into the Q&A session with Brandon, I'm going to kick it off to Primetime with the Primetime Sports segment.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You are now at this present moment. You are now in the prime zone. I want to thank everybody who's watching near and far. Shouts out to the Mississippi Gulf Coast surrounding areas. Everybody from the sound of my voice. Thank you for watching. We have a great segment tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, the television, the phones, the alerts have been going crazy in the NBA with free agencies. People are getting their roll on. And I'm talking about they clocking dollars, they moving on next week. Look, teams are building up. Ladies and gentlemen, next basketball season is going to be exciting to watch. It's just been over with. I'm already excited to see what next year is going to bring from a lot of different players, a lot of different teams, a lot of different views, a lot of different things. So let's jump into it. Whatever you're doing right now, I want you to just stop it just for a few minutes. I'm going to be with you today. Just stop it for a few minutes. Sit down, crack you a nice cold beverage, and listen to Mr. Primetime. I got some news for you, baby. Let's go to the NBA. Listen, two-time MVP. Let's start in Golden State, shall we? Steph Curry, he will be with the Golden State Warriors for a good amount of more time. 4 years, $215 million. He resigned. That's good money, man. He deserves it. He's a well, everybody knows Steph Curry. He's a future Hall of Famer. He's going to be a great asset, and as he already is. He's brought them championships. He has much accolades with the Golden State Warriors. So I congratulate Steph on his achievement on re-signing with the Golden State Warriors for $215 million, 4-year term. Not to mention, Clay is coming back next year. So the Golden State Warriors, plus they pick up a great prospect out the draft this year. And so the Golden State Warriors are going to be in a rebuilding year, but at the same time, they keep that experience in the locker room as well to upcome the young guys coming in. Moving on, we got a lot to move on, so I'm going to try to move it to as quick as I can. Marquis Morris, formerly of the Lakers, is now signed a 1-year deal with the Miami Heat. And speaking of Miami Heat, Kyle Lowry, formerly of the Toronto Raptors, is headed to South Beach to join Jimmy Butler and them and Bam down in Miami. Now, we remember Miami 2 years ago in the bubble in the finals against the Lakers, and they lost to the Lakers, but it's a rebuilding year for them as well, and they're going to be good. I think I like the lineup, the togetherness together with Kyle coming down to Miami and doing good, and I'm looking for great things with him as well. The Bulls in Chicago have finalized the deal for DeMar DeRozan, formerly of the San Antonio Spurs. That's Mr. Jackson's favorite team. I don't know what to say about the Spurs. But anyway, DeMar is on his way to Chicago to be with the Bulls. Not only he is on his way to Chicago, but Alonzo Ball, formerly of the New Orleans Pelicans, is on his way to Chicago. Not only that, but Alex Caruso, formerly of the Lakers, he's on his way, man. These guys are hooking up with each other. They're building the team. They're trying to make that championship run. Players nowadays have already got the money, so now they're starving for that ring. And I can't blame them. Down in Phoenix, CP3 opted out his deal, and he is still staying. He will be staying with the Phoenix Suns with a contract worth $120 million. He opted out his $40 million contract and got more dollars, and that's very well deserved coming for Chris Paul, because he had just took his team to the finals. He helped Monty Williams, the head coach down there, and those guys had a hell of a run this year, and so very proud of them, and congratulations to CP3. Now, since we're out in the West, ladies and gentlemen, if you notice, I have purple on. The biggest news of the NBA free agency, we have 5 Hall of Famers. 5, a whole Jackson 5. We have a whole 5 Hall of Famers headed to La La Land. Speaking of La La, let me start with the first person, the latest news that's going to LA. Carmelo Anthony will be joining his longtime friend, his best friend, the Banana Boat crew. Carmelo is headed to LA to join his friend LeBron James. Oh my God. We don't stop there though, ladies and gentlemen. We don't stop there. It's just Carmelo. Great asset, great addition to the team. Not only Carmelo going to LA, we got Mr. Russell Westbrook on the way as well. From Washington. Russell is a native of LA. He is on his way home. He's searching for that championship. He's been to Houston, 3 different teams. He's the only MVP to be traded to 3 different teams in 3 different years. Russ is in LA. Come on, man. Not only that, Dwight Howard is coming back. Dwight Howard is coming back to LA for the 3rd time. He has left, come back, left, and come back again. Last time he was in LA, he won a championship with the Lakers, and it's going to add some good presence to the big men down low. So Dwight, those are some of the big names that's going to be in LA, but there's also some great people coming off the bench, some additional help that the Lakers are doing. They have really pressed the reset button, and they are building their team up tremendously, and I am so excited to see about them. It's a lot of other teams that's going in free agency and doing a lot of big moves and big trades. But we're going to move on to the NFL. Today, we want to wish Tom Brady a happy 44th birthday today. The team celebrated his birthday today in practice by giving him a total day off. The GOAT. Let it be known. I'm going to put this on air right now. I'm a Dak Prescott fan, 100%. You couldn't tell me another quarterback is better, but I got to take my hat off and I got to give my props out to the man who has 7 Super Bowl rings, who has done it and has beat adversity at all costs. So happy birthday, Tom Brady. We wish you a great one. Celebrate well. Enjoy the day off. We love you, man, all around the country. But first game of the season is when you had to face my Cowboys and you'll get your first L. Hey, how about that? Now, just to put that out there, the Indianapolis Colts have suffered a great loss. Their starting quarterback, Carson Wentz, who was traded from the Philadelphia Eagles to the Indianapolis Colts, will be out 5 to 12 weeks due to a foot injury, that the same injury that he suffered when he was in Philadelphia. I don't know what to say about Carson Wentz, and I'm not going to talk about the brother. I like him as a quarterback, but he's too injury prone. Go back to my Lakers. Anthony Davis is too, but we still love AD. But yeah, Carson will be out. He's going to have surgery on that leg, and he's going to be good, and hopefully a speedy recovery from him. The NFL has kicked off way in training camp for all NFL teams. This coming Thursday will be the first NFL game, preseason game. My Dallas Cowboys will be facing off against the Pittsburgh Steelers for the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Mississippi. hey, if you're not doing anything and if you're not at home, if you're not busy or at work or doing whatever, just sit down and tune in and watch a game with the beloved and my beautiful Cowboys. I think you'll love it. I think you'll love it. This is a great team, America's team at its best. That's all I have for you today right now, ladies and gentlemen. I want to leave you with the word of the day. And the word of the day is, if you're focused on the hurt, you will continue to suffer. If you focus on the lesson, you will continue to grow. I'm going to say that one more again. If you focus on the hurt, you will continue to suffer. But if you focus on the lesson, you will continue to grow. That's my time, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me. You are in the Prime Zone. I'm your host, Kenny Primetime Williams. I love you. God loves you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Mr. Jackson, back to you, sir.
Appreciate it, Kenny. Thank you with the latest news, updates, NBA, NFL. We know the first preseason game starts this Thursday. Big shout out to my favorite team, also the Dallas Cowboys. Looking forward to them to do their thing this upcoming season. But I think reports went out that would not be playing this Thursday, so they want to play safe with him. So big up to Dak Prescott, Zeke, the boys that's going to do their thing this year. So I'm very excited about that. Also, man, I'm very excited about our guest. He's an innovator. He's a motivator. He's an inspiration to all of us. And New York City.bubble.life.com named this man a tech mogul. And he's an innovator. When I look at this guy's a true innovator. He's making things happen with his company, which is the BMS Company. He also partnered with some giants such as the Mercedes Benz, Walt Disney, just to name a few. And he's sitting down with us tonight to get to know him. So Brandon, welcome to Walking This Way Impact Boys Podcast.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
And we appreciate you once again taking time with your busy schedule. I know you're a busy guy, but I know we connected since I first moved here to Texas and made that connection. You did from Underdog, your company did from the Underdog to Icon t-shirts. It came out well, successful. Big out to your company for doing that. But tonight we want to get to know who Brandon is with this Q&A. Also my co-host that's tuning in, Dannielle. Dannielle, welcome. I know you just tuning in with her. I know she got some questions for you as well, but I'm a gentleman, so I'm gonna let the ladies go first. So I'm gonna let Dannielle shoot some questions at you.
Okay. Nice to meet you, Brandon. I'm so excited.
Nice to meet you, Dannielle.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to you more about your business and like how you got started. Reading your bio was exciting for me. So my first question for you today is going to be, tell us how BMS got to the level that they're at now, just based on the bio and everything that I've read, and what part did you play in that growth?
Okay, I think that's a tricky question. I think it's just a part of not only just the course of time, right? You know, you start a business and over the course of time you grow. If you have a correct growth strategy in place. But I think primarily it's about hiring the right people, surrounding yourself with the right people. When I initially started the business, it was just myself and a couple of co-founders. We took it upon ourselves to be strategic and find strategic partners, key resources to, grow the business. So I think, to answer your question, it's a combination of time and, diligence.
Right. And I love how you talk about key partners and key partnerships. Tell us more about that.
Right. So as you guys were reading off some of the people that we have had the opportunity to work with and some of our clients, in order to work with those clients, you have to have pretty solid partnerships in place, right? And a strategy on how to even approach to sell to a Mercedes Benz or an American Express corporation. These are multinational corporations. They're huge. I mean, you're talking about thousands of employees. So in tech, you have to have or deploy software that is able to support such an infrastructure, right? I would think just off the top of my head, reaching out to corporate executives, was one of my strategies. Getting them to join the team, having a value proposition for them to join the team. If you want somebody to join a small startup, you have to have some value to give them, especially if you don't have the capital, the funds readily available. What does it benefit them to join a small startup, right? So you definitely have to have not only that, but a vision, right? An MVP, as we call it, a viable product, and how are you going to get to market, attack the market, and be successful in the market? You definitely have to have a plan, right? So.
Wow, awesome.
And
Go ahead,
most definitely. Oh, wait, go ahead and say Dannielle.
I said, go ahead. I'm passing it back.
All right, most definitely. You mentioned something about vision. We know the Bible said without a vision, the people perish. So we know vision is very important, because a vision, you aiming towards your common goal. And I know that when you have a vision, anybody and everybody can go with you. So my question is to you. I know you're a businessman, you're an entrepreneur, but for the first time tonight, my question is, who is Brandon Spencer?
Man, I'm just a guy that's out of Las Vegas, Nevada. I grew up like a lot of minorities, underserved, not from a privileged place. My mother and father are from a small city, Shibuda, Mississippi. Didn't come from a strong educational background. Um, Grew up with a lot of trouble around me, right? Normally the neighborhoods that we grow up in, we grow up around a lot of mischief and mayhem, right? I was able to I was always a bright kid. I was the weirdo kind of kid, that wanted to play with some stuff. And I managed to kind of grow and develop over the years into, what I am now, but I'm no different than anyone else. Just a basic guy.
Man, that's what's up.
So humble.
Oh yeah.
And that's what's up. Just to hear your background from where you came from to yet today. And I know the road has not been easy. And I like what you said. I like what you were saying, how you didn't allow your surroundings to dictate your future. So on this path of success, on this path where you are today, when did it get started? How did it get started? And who inspired you to get to the level you're at today? I know it's many more layers in life. Like the Bible says, we go from glory to glory to glory. So to this point, how did you get on that path to where you're at today?
Right. And that's a funny question, right? Because I think we're highlighting the BMS company, but prior to the BMS company, I did have a software company that I sold off to another company. I think my path started when I was in high school. Honestly, I would say probably before high school. I was the lemonade stand kid, always trying to flip something. I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. So it started very early on. I noticed that I can make money in high school. In high school, I started, ordering shoes from China, having my homeboy draw on them, customized drawing, and then reselling them for a charge up, right? After that, I took that skill set into, I started a t-shirt company. And we were selling to churches. We started just selling to small churches. My father was a pastor, so that was kind of my way into the church world. So I started selling to one church, other churches started telling more churches. In the Las Vegas area, we were serving over 75 churches, just printing t-shirts. We went into the government sector, started printing t-shirts for local police departments, school districts, et cetera, et cetera. Went on to sell that business, started a software company, grew that over the course of a couple of years. And then now we're here with the BMS company, and we're, with my partners, we're steady growing.
And I just love to hear that. That's very inspiring. And now that, you follow the path, since I know you have that spiritual background, because we know that with God, all things are possible. And I know we speak about this all the time on the podcast, that our gift made room for us. So you utilize the gift that God has given you to get what you're at today. I know you have the company. For those who may not know what BMS, right? BMS is. What did that
Right.
stand for?
Um, not arrogantly, but it stands for Brandon Michael Spencer.
Oh, I did not know that.
It is my
Okay.
initial. The funny thing is, I was trying to. We started off as a branding company, kind of a tech company. So it was initially branding and marketing specialists. Okay, but it was a spinoff of all of my experiences. I wanted to kind of hone in and put all my efforts into growing this company. I wanted to create this company for legacy. I had oftentimes created companies, grew them to a point of selling, because you don't want to marry anything, right? In the business world, it's about rapid growth, selling to the next big guy, and moving on to the next project. So with this project, I wanted to kind of take my time and grow over the course of the years and leave a legacy for my family.
Man,
Wow.
that's a blessing. I know it's been catching on as of late. We have people, especially people of color, catching on to the entrepreneurial world, the business world. They're focused more on building their legacy. The Bible said, "Good man leaving inheritance for children." So we know we get into that aspect of entrepreneurship, investing, stock market, this stuff that we would never thought about probably like 5-10 years ago, because we were more focused on you get you a 9 to 5, you stay on there for 25-30 years, get their
Right.
retirement, you think, oh, I'm living the good life now. But now people
Right.
is going towards the area of entrepreneurship. And I think it really took off when the pandemic hit. When everything was shut down, people lost their job. So their creativity started flowing. And I just love how God tests our heart. When I say tests our heart, wherever I treasure, that's where our heart at.
Absolutely, absolutely. I truly believe the pandemic presented other opportunities that would have never presented itself. I think there was pros and cons to the pandemic, right? One of the pros is that it gave people of opportunity time to think, right? Not working 40 hours a week, stressful commutes, having to deal with, not only your coworkers, but, cohorts and peers. 9 to 5s can be really a place that a lot of people don't want to be. But, in the same note, I think a con is that it at least gives people the opportunity to try it and maybe figure out if it is for them, because entrepreneurship is just not this walk that everybody wants to partake in. I think it's very, you have to be a particular type of individual to withstand the obstacles that comes along with being an entrepreneur. I mean, we oftentimes hear that, but I think it gives people a chance to experience. Losing a couple of $1,000s during the pandemic will give you that experience, and maybe you want to rethink about, clocking in and clocking out every day. It's just not for everyone.
Right, most definitely. Then you got anything you want to ask?
Yeah, so as a fellow entrepreneur, I mean, when I was a child, I constantly was trying to sell something. I came from a troubled past as well. And so I completely understand your path and your journey of like learning the business world just through life and just trying to learn how to get a little extra money as a kid, and then that turning into something like real and viable as an adult. And so I really believe, as a Christian myself, that God, he inspires and he puts certain things into us as children. Because I even look at myself and I'm like, I want to say I was probably like 10, on the street corners trying to hustle. And I'm like, how did I get that like desire? And why did I want to do that? And that was God in me, just kind of developing this motivation to want to do something more. So I love that. And I'm all about building foundations, and Matthew 7:24, where they're talking about building your life on a strong foundation so that when the storms of life come, it will stand. And so I feel like with your story, you built that foundation because you've been through multiple businesses and struggles and probably some failures and some accomplishments. So I love to hear that. So my question here is, along this journey of coming through life and understanding the ups and downs of business and what you have to do to become who you are going to be, what habits have you created or established in your life that you think will take you further? And maybe some advice to somebody who might want to be like you.
I mean, I've been at this for quite some time, so I do consider myself a pretty disciplined person, right? One of the habits that I developed early on is the habit of getting up very early. Okay, so my normal day is probably alarm if I don't wake up before going off at 4 a.m. Meditation, and focus, prayer. I know you guys, the podcast is focused around a Christ-filled, life. Little do people know, because I don't often articulate it, but I have a master's degree in divinity. So prayer is typically a part of my early morning rituals. And then, getting up early and doing difficult things very early. Okay. The things that I don't want to do, because I know myself, I'm more effective in the early AM. So I would say the habit, because we can go on and talk about good habits, right? So one of the habits, I would say, just getting up and getting at it very, very early.
And believe it or not,
yeah.
Oh, and believe it or not, me and Ferman, we've heard that a lot from a lot of our most successful people, saying that they get up early. I myself get up pretty early in the morning, around 4, I join a prayer call in the morning. So, but I think it's so important, like you said, to get up early, because it forms discipline. So to do things that are not comfortable, or something that goes against your natural mentality, and to force yourself to do it, I think it changes something in you to have more power over yourself, kind of like fasting.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah. So it at first it's forced, and then it becomes, very easy thing, so 4 a.m. sounds like a struggle to a lot of people, but once you've done it for a couple of years, 4 a.m. is very natural thing. So yep.
Still a struggle for me. So one day I'll get there. I said it's still a struggle for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect.
But I mean, I love that the discipline aspect of life. Discipline brings on success. Laziness don't bring on success. I hear people complaining about this and that, but I don't think people that complain a lot don't have no vision for their life. Because you have a vision for your life, you're gonna stay focused, you're gonna stay disciplined. Distractions gonna come, true enough, but blocking out those distractions, like, hey, get out of my way, I'm on a mission, I'm on an assignment. It made me think about Nehemiah. Nehemiah wanted to rebuild a wall because he got destroyed. He wanted to rebuild a wall, and how distractions came when people were trying to pull him down, and his response was he was not coming down because he was doing a good work. And that would come from that discipline standpoint of, I'm not coming down for anybody. I'm not coming down for you to waste my time. I'm not coming down for you to waste my energy, because I'm doing a good work. And that's what I'm just getting out of the whole concept of being disciplined, staying focused, being rooted and grounded. When you got to that point of being disciplined, how long did it take for you to develop that discipline mindset?
I'm like everyone else. It was a difficult process, right? To develop habits that are beneficial for the direction that you want to go in. It's a process. I can't recall an exact amount of time because I'm still going through the process of discipline, right? There's areas of discipline that I would want to increase. There's certain areas that I'm still trying to focus on and work on and constantly improve. But it's an ongoing process. I mean, I got buddies that, are 15 years into still trying to develop particular discipline. I would love to eat salads, but I enjoy hamburgers. This is this is a level of discipline, you know. So I mean, it's all relative, but yeah, I think you know, you fall down 6 times, you get up 7, right? It's just a constant. You got to keep on pushing it.
I think we can relate. I think we can relate your comment about discipline to your comment about value. So when we talk about priorities, and I've kind of had to do this for myself because I had a lot of problems with discipline in life, just trying to figure out how I can be better, how can I set up good habits for myself. And I realized that my issue wasn't discipline, it was a lack of priority in my life and understanding the value that something holds to me. So if let's say I want to lose weight, it's one thing to just say, oh, I want to lose weight. But it's another thing to have a reason behind it that really means something to you. So then that pushes you to want to do what it takes to do it.
Absolutely. Incentives work too, you know, incentivizing yourself.
That's a reason. Yeah. So, I'm going to give myself money, or I'm going to go on a trip, or you're doing it for the trip. You're not really doing it for something else. So it's like, what is it that's going to push you to do what you said you wanted to do? You got
to trick your brain.
Yep.
Most definitely. Yep. Right. Most definitely. And I love the spirit of discipline. That's something that I practice in my own life on a regular. That actually been in the spirit realm as of late, being disciplined, our emotions, not being emotionally led, but being principle led, and knowing what we're doing, knowing your why in life. So my question to you is, as an entrepreneur, for those who want to be entrepreneurs but don't understand the groundwork, how many hours a day do you work on average?
Oh man. I'm a bit of a workaholic. It's probably going to seem ridiculous, but I wouldn't recommend my work schedule to anyone. But I'm probably still putting in 14-hour days. Yeah. About 12 to 14-hour days. Yep.
Hey, and I respect that, because you're doing something that you're passionate about. You're doing something that you purpose about. And I'm just going to use this one. Before God gave Adam Eve, he gave Adam work. So, we're built to work. So that's in our DNA, to work, to make things happen, to create things, to, like you said, legacy. Legacy is important. Pass on to the next generation. The Bible speaks about generation. The Bible speaks about your children. And I'm glad that now we're developing that mindset now of generational wealth, generation principles, pass on the spirit of discipline. And that's a beautiful thing to know, hear people say it, practice that on a regular basis. So I'm going to pass back to Dannielle, so you have another question for our guest this evening.
Yeah, so you talked about legacy, and I love that Ferman just brought that up, because that was what was on my mind. So you said that you created this company specifically for your legacy, so you're not planning to sell it. I've worked with a lot of tech companies or people who have sold their companies, like you said, you've done before. And so is this your passion for, this is what you want to do for the rest of your life? Or do you have other passions that you want to pursue, maybe purposes that you feel God has put on your heart for your overall life? You look fairly young, and so you have a lot of life to live. I'd love to hear what you think about that.
Absolutely. Right. So, so the BMS company was solely created for that purpose. I am currently involved in a couple of different endeavors, right? I'm a part of a company called the Black Movement. We've been purchasing real estate property throughout the DFW Metroplex, as well as other cities and states in the United States, right? So real estate is kind of a realm that I'm in as well. I sit on the board of multiple nonprofit organizations that's where my passions really lie. My passions truly lie in giving. I created a company called Joyful Giver, and then I sold that software to a larger company. But yeah, that's my passion, is giving. So I rather give back all day. but you definitely need things to give, right? So I
Right.
spend a lot of my time acquiring things to give so I can give. So not nonprofit work and activism is kind of my passion.
That's
Oh man, that's what's
awesome.
up.
Yes,
I
that's awesome.
I feel like that kind of goes in line with my next question about corporate social responsibility. So
Diversity and inclusion, or what are you talking about? What are we?
so corporate social responsibility is basically how do you give back to the community?
Sure.
That's kind of a new concept right now in the business world. And if you kind of go online, they're kind of for the big companies, they go after them if they're not providing some sort of a community aspect to their business plan. So big businesses who aren't doing something for the community are being like crucified in the news and stuff like that. So I'd
Right.
like to hear from you about that.
Sure. So, no, I'm familiar with what's going on right now in the corporate world. I mentioned diversity and inclusion because that's a big topic right now is in
Yeah.
corporate America. Um, you know what? I really can't speak to what these corporate giants are doing. I I feel that with that's a different world when you're talking about, multinational, multi-million dollar
Mm-hmm.
companies.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different world. It's a different game that's being played up there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I wouldn't be able to articulate properly how I feel about that without sounding
Yeah. And
right.
I think my question is more geared to what are you doing for the community, like
Oh,
your
okay.
personal corporate
Right. Okay.
responsibility.
So, right. Okay. So, we have an initiative called Clubhouse. Since we're a tech company, Lamont Tony, he is the director of our product development. And he came up with an amazing concept that called Clubhouse that we go into inner cities, whether it be a boys and girls club, and we teach coding, network engineering. Um, I think tech is underrepresented in the African American community. People don't know that African Americans can be geeks too. We love technology, so I think what we're trying to put out there is um, put people on notice that it's okay to if you like playing video games, it's okay if you like building robotics. It's okay if you enjoy and it's okay to be smart, right? It's nothing wrong with being a brain and putting things together. It oftentimes was demonized, especially when we were growing up. I would say for myself, when I was growing up, we often kind of get ridiculed because you don't want to do what everybody else is doing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Clubhouse is our initiative, and that's the way we give back. Personally, I serve with the 100 Black Men of Dallas Fort Worth, and there's multiple initiatives going on there, as well as the Young NAACP.
Wow.
Man,
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Hey, you got your hands on a lot of things. I know Dannielle, she has a nonprofit as well. So maybe connect on something like that. So that's a beautiful thing also. So you never know how God connect you with people. So my next question is, as an entrepreneur, it's always work. We know that. But can you describe / outline your typical day?
Typical day, 4 a.m., wake up, pray, meditate, work, okay, and work until around, I usually retire the day around 6 p.m. and work like sparingly, like here and there, responding to certain things. I typically get my breaks on weekends. Okay, I do shut down over the weekend. The business cell phone goes in a little cubby. It doesn't really come out. And I do vacation a lot. I will admit that. So to get a break, and so I do not get burned out. I even though I'm in Jacksonville for travel right now, I mean, for business right now, I'm going to enjoy myself while I'm out here, right?
Right.
So I think it's good to have that balance.
Mhm.
I work partially through the day, go out, hang out at night, see the town, play some pool, do the things that I like. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's what's up right there.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Danielle.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say, like, that's really awesome. I'm a very busy person myself, and so I know the value in kind of just inserting fun into whatever you're doing. So you might be like you said, traveling for business, but you're like, I need to have fun while I'm here too. And so it kind of becomes like a vacation / business trip. I love that. I love
That's the
because
story of my life right there. Vacation / business trip is how I live my life.
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I have another question. Everyone has a person or somebody that they look up to in their industry. Like I'm a financial advisor. I have somebody in my industry that I'm like, oh, one day I'm going to be like so and so. It might not be somebody who's famous or somebody who's like way off. It might be just a mentor or somebody close to you. But who's that person to you? And why did they make such a big impact on your life?
Okay. That's a loaded question, right? Because throughout the entrepreneurship journey, you'll find yourself having a plethora of mentors and people that greatly impact your trajectory, right? So I want to start first and foremost with my father. His work ethic is ridiculous. He was just, that's the only thing I saw, right? I would see a man get up when it's dark, come home. When it's dark, come home, doing a lot of stuff, getting a lot of stuff done. My mentor, Oliver Sims, shout out to Oliver Sims. He greatly he kind of changed the way I viewed business. When I was a young entrepreneur, sometimes we think small and not granular, right? So he made me think outside of the box. A gentleman by the name of Keith Otto. He served as he was the director of the Small Business Administration. And when I was first selling one of my companies, I went into the SBA because I was a little bit confused on what should I do. I knew that I had a company that could, be sold. We had good revenues. I didn't see myself doing that for too much longer. He helped me not only grow my revenues in that company, but helped me transition and properly, get away from that particular business model. Um, I mean, my spiritual pastor, Pastor Michael Hatch, okay, he helped me spiritually understand what was going on, because in the chaotic business world, sometimes we don't take the time to think that maybe God is involved in some of the things that we, often partake in, right? We can overlook that it might be a spiritual component in here or something that we possibly may be overlooking. So yeah, so I can go on and on with a list of names, but those individual gentlemen, and I will say one more name, a lady by the name of Kelly. She actually believed in me. It's sometimes, we have these lofty goals as especially African American entrepreneurs, and nobody really thinks that it's going to happen, right? They're like, oh yeah, cool, you got a business, and yeah, you're doing what everybody else is doing until you really get there, and then
Yeah.
they want to believe, right? It's cool to have the people that believe in you early on, right? Like it's a good feeling, it's like, okay, I can actually do it, right? And yeah, she believed in me early on, so I will say those individuals played a major impact and in my growth and where I'm at today. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I love how you were talking about how like your spiritual mentor was telling you about how sometimes God is more involved. And it makes me think about Ephesians 6:10, where they're talking about we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities in high places. And so sometimes we need to think when we're coming against stuff or when things are not going exactly how we had imagined them to go, or sometimes we have to think maybe God is involved or there's a spiritual battle going on. And as Christians here all on the line, I know that sometimes we have to pray ourselves through stuff. And when we're coming up against things, it can be a matter of our prayer life or our fasting life and all that. But I wanted to ask you, I have to ask, because you said that you got a master's in divinity. So I have to ask, what are you going to do with that? Are you going to go into maybe nobody ever wants to talk about this
That's
yet.
my first time hearing it as well.
Look, your dad's a pastor. Are you going to be a pastor one day? What's going to happen here?
I do not want any of that smoke. I do not want any of that smoke. So, I don't know that. I can't answer that question because I don't know where I'll be at not even a year from now, right? Like we don't know where our hearts go. I might, lose interest in all this stuff and go preach on the street corners. Who knows, right? I don't have an answer for that. Initially, when I was in seminary, it was because, you want to be like your father, you want to be like these people. But I had to think about, where I was currently at. I was young. I was full of zeal. And I wanted to make sure that I was making the right choices. So I'm a question asker. I get a lot of people around me. I surround myself with a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me. Okay. And I make educated decisions on my next moves. Right. So it wasn't the time to step into the world of, preaching or anything in the church world. I mean, I served in different capacities in my local church and stuff like that, but nothing to the extent of, spreading the word over the pulpit. I'll take a pass.
Hey, well, at least you're being honest, because the Bible said,
Yeah.
"Many called, few are chosen." So you shouldn't always know what He's calling you into, because everybody's not called to that arena, but everybody's called to different arenas. And it made me think about what you were saying earlier about decision making, and and another thing they've been dealing with is considering the cost. Have we sit down and consider the cost? We make these decisions, like we don't think things through. We just go our emotions, and then we hit that wall. Like, man, why I didn't really just thought this thing through? And I know that plays a role in discipline too. So, come to your decision making. How do you handle your decision making on the regular basis? Because I know distractions come, big things come, small things come. But as a man, how do you handle your decision making?
I think decision making is a part of a little bit things that are a little bit more encompassing. I think I make good decisions now because I grew myself over the years to make good decisions, right? Because I didn't always make good decisions, right?
That's all of us.
Yeah, right. So, and again, I can't, say this too much. I constantly surround myself with individuals that not only have my best interest, they're just great individuals, right? So, and I talk through things. I sit on things for a while. It's not procrastination when you sit on things, right? Especially when you don't even procrastinate, right? So
Right.
don't get that, like, that's not a part of it. It's just sometimes you just have to wait on things to develop, right? And understand, timing. Timing is everything. So I don't want to get too deep into principles and all that other stuff. We'll save that for another day. But yeah, it's some principles that I abide by, and I take my time into making calculated decisions.
Right. And I respect that truly, because that's something I apply to my own life when it comes to decision making. That's go back to what we was talking about. Have we sit down and consider the cost? And also big shouts out to your pops as well for his work ethic that he installed in you. That's the same thing my dad was too. Ferman Senior, he worked 2 full-time jobs to take care of his family. 2 full-time jobs. So that work ethic was always in him.
Yeah.
So,
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I mean, we are just little mini versions of the people that imparted in us, our parents, so
Yeah, and I said when you were growing up and as your father put, I would say put this extra pressure on you, think it's a negative, but it's not. In our fleshly minds, I'm to say, we think, oh, my dad being hard on me. But as you get older and you develop in life, you're like, okay, I see what my dad wants. My dad wants the best for me. Instead of thinking, okay, my dad's being hard on me, but in actuality, he wants the best for you. And that's something it took me a little bit longer to get in my life. Okay, all this time, as me being the oldest, me being me named after him, okay, he want that extra oomph to go further in life. And I see that now as I got older in my own life. So I'm going to pass it on to the co-host, the lady herself. Dannielle, you have anything you want to ask Brandon?
Yeah, so I love how you were talking about surrounding yourself with the right people. There's an old proverbs and everybody knows it, birds of a feather flock together. And I'm always preaching this to the youngsters or anybody who will listen to me about how it's so important as just a person to surround yourself with people who are like-minded and trying to go to the same place as you. But then even in business school, I learned that like it's something that you keep repeating, and it's such a huge business concept. And it's such an important business concept that when you're the entrepreneur or the visionary of a company, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room. You have to hire the smartest people in the room. You have to hire or surround yourself with those people who have those skills that you might not have.
Yeah,
So
I've done an amazing job at that. I think that's one of the things that I've done, right? And even though, it's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't be intimidated by the fact, there's always going to be somebody that knows more than you. But, I learned from everybody.
Yeah.
And I consider myself a pretty bright dude, so.
Yeah, and they say that some of the most influential and the most successful business people have done it this way, because you don't have enough time, even if you were the smartest person in the room, and I'm not saying you're not, because you sound like super smart. Like I wouldn't even want to go up against you
Yeah,
in any kind of math competition or nothing.
Yeah. And you're the type of guy, when we have a tested classroom, I want to sit by you.
Yeah, like please help me or something. But some of the most successful people have done exactly what you've done. So word to the wise for anybody who's starting a business or trying to go somewhere, it's not all about being just you doing everything yourself. It's about finding other people who believe in you, believe in your process, and who can add to you and be the best in their specific area, because not everybody's meant to be the leader. I think everybody has leadership qualities, but not everybody is necessarily meant to be the leader in a specific area or realm. And so, Brandon, I think in your business, you're created to be a leader and an entrepreneur. And I love that you're surrounding yourself with other people who might be the best of the best in this area, and then the best of the best in all these different areas. So that was not a question, but it was definitely something I thought that needed to be said. My next question is about growth, right? So you seem like such a bright person. You're doing all these things. You've created companies, you've sold companies. Now you have this company that you're growing in. Where do you see yourself with the tech industry being such a booming industry right now and continuing to grow? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? Or this company?
Oh, okay. That's a good question, right? So I see this company in the next couple of years going through a continual slow growth strategy, attacking the market sectors. Right now, I know I mentioned earlier, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, working on we have just entered into the government space. Okay.
Congratulations on that.
Interesting space. So I think, I wouldn't forecast us being Oracle or any of these large companies like Accenture. But I would say that we will just continue to strive to be the best version of ourselves that we can possibly be, constantly, evolving and staying in business is one of the key things that you want to do, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Just
Yes, indeed.
keep on selling products,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a big power in belief. Like if you believe that you could be Oracle or the next, then
IBM, IBM, Apple, any of these big tech, juggernauts out there.
Salesforce.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Salesforce is huge, top 10 now, I think. Yeah, I mean, of course, these juggernauts, they're out there. They started once as, a small growth, rapid growth strategy. I got an opportunity to, be in Y Combinator out there with some of the big guys. So I've seen the process. I don't know if we would ever want to be that big, but if that is what happens, that happens. But I'm comfortable with where we're at right now.
Yeah, it's all up to God. It's all up to God. And I mean, have you ever read Think and Grow Rich?
And I've read that a couple of times. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that story. And one of the people at the beginning, they were just talking about how they envisioned themselves being the next, for your specific situation, maybe like the next Salesforce. And so they like put it up on their walls. They were like, yeah, we're going to keep saying this. We're going to keep envisioning this. And sometimes it makes you think differently and move differently. I know for my own self, when I made something real to myself that maybe seemed like crazy, I started doing things that reflected that. Like, let's say I wanted to start a nonprofit, and I talked about it for years. And then finally I was like, I'm going to start. I'm not going to say I want to start. I'm going to start a nonprofit. And then I just did it. Like it wasn't easy, but it's like I think sometimes, and it's not that easy for everything, but sometimes when we just, have that vision board or we have that thing that we're like, this is what I'm going to do. And I know you said you're not sure if you want to grow that big, because there's a lot that comes with being like a large publicly traded company, but you can, that's up to you. But I think that's
we'll navigate that path once we get there. Okay. Yeah. I wouldn't know, what to do with such a large company. So
Hey, well, at least you're just being honest, so that's a good thing about it. Ken, you have anything you want to ask Brandon?
Well, basically, I'm impressed, man, with everything you've talked about this evening, and I just what would be your best saying to young people like yourself that when you started young, and how the things that you did, how you would want a young person that's probably in the same situation that can correct or not do what you did to probably make it better, you know what I'm saying, do the same in the same path of you.
Right. There's a lot of things, that we can have sessions about this, but I think it probably sounds cliche and corny, but I mean, just be yourself, right? We use these words like, authentic and organic, and sometimes they just blow over, right? But I was just doing what came naturally to me,
Yeah.
that just comes naturally to me, right? Like this is not a facade or maybe a shell of a person that I was trying to be. I was just doing what came naturally to me. So whatever comes naturally to you, whatever space you're in, right? Whether you're an entrepreneur or an artist or a musician, and you have skill sets that benefit, this world and make contributions to communities and societies, I would definitely recommend you to continue down that straight path. It's not always about the financial gain in a situation. It's more so at the end of the day and at the end of when these lights turn out, you can feel comfortable saying that you did what you did and you were authentic with it the whole time.
Absolutely.
And I agree with that 100%. Doing something that you're passionate about, doing something that you love to do. and making an impact on others. I know you have a team that you work with. So as you being a leader, how do you uplift your team? How do you keep them inspired to keep
You
pushing
know what?
forward?
That's an amazing question, and I think it's a timely question. It's one of the things that I made a post on my LinkedIn today, literally because when I woke up, I was like, my team has been so good, right? We currently have a team in Jacksonville, Florida. We have a team that's in Killeen on a military base, and we are like working our butts off. And I was thinking, like, hey, man, what am I doing to set the tone for them to continue to push at this pace? And that is something that I've yet to answer for, myself. So I can't even give you an answer, right? So in the past, I've often, made remarks. We give rewards, we give bonuses. You say your congratulations, you give, different accolades to people that are accomplishing or high performers. But honestly, it's something that I'm trying to figure out right now. So maybe on the next time you have me, I'll be able to answer that question.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
that's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Do you have anything to ask?
No, I'm gonna pass it back to you. I've really enjoyed talking to you and learning more about you and your company. Very inspired.
Most definitely.
Cool.
Ken, you have anything?
Yes, I would just want to tell you, man, continue to keep your head up, continue doing what you're doing. God bless you. God loves you, man, and people like you, man, I salute you. I appreciate everything you do, and that continue to strive for the best. Continue to push forward.
Mm-hmm.
And look, thanks for having me, guys. I don't often do any podcasts, so it's a great thing to be on here. I often get asked, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. But when he asked, I was like, man, I gotta rock with him. He was consistent, and I mean, I appreciate you guys having me. It's been a
Yes, sir.
blessing. Yeah.
And and we appreciate you as well. And also, I know you have your company. Let the audience know what your company consists of. How can they become a client, a partner, et cetera, et cetera.
Cool. Yeah. So we do. So our company, we are a tech company covering a matrix and we have tech wherewithal, right? So we can do anything from your websites. We primarily do software development, right? We build out a lot of large applications for companies. We've partnered with great Black banks that if you're starting a bank account, shout out to First United, which is not a Black owned bank, but they're a Black bank down in downtown Dallas. They've partnered with us. We have clients on a daily basis once they, start up their business banking accounts. We're their first point of contact. We do anything from websites, search engine optimization, social media management, marketing, branding. And that's on the client side. Of course, we do software development, cybersecurity. We cover the gamut of tech. So
Good to know. Yeah.
And that is. And like I said, Brandon, I appreciate you. I look forward to connecting with you when you come back to Dallas. I thank God for the connection. So he put things together. So I'm looking forward to actually, connect in person, break bread, fellowship, stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Come through Stonebriar Country Club, man. I got you, man. Dinner on me, okay?
Well, I look forward to it because we had this conversation before, and we know what I mentioned to you in the conversation. So we're looking forward to that coming to pass, and had that special had that special name come on the podcast. So
Right.
So
man. Look, y'all do better than that. Yeah, like I'm okay. I'm just all right.
But I appreciate you. Take time out to be the schedule. I know you're working, traveling in Jacksonville. Cause that's next to Florida's next to Alabama, where I'm originally from, Alabama. So.
Hey, okay. Shout out, Roll Tide, right?
Oh, you know, Roll Tide. Also, I know you're a Mississippi native. We have another Mississippi native.
That's
Kenny,
right.
he's from
Hell State.
Mississippi.
Hell State.
And
Go
then,
Bulldog.
and then,
Love
of
it.
course,
I
you know, we
love
got Dannielle on the West Coast. So,
Yes, I'm in California, so I'm
it. Shout out
representing.
Danielle. Shout out Danielle. So I have ties to both Mississippi and the West Coast. You know, I'm a city boy from Vegas, but I had to spend all of my summers in Mississippi, all of my days in Mississippi. So I got a good combination of both city boy and southern hospitality, if you will.
Absolutely.
We
Yeah.
love it all. We
Yeah.
love it all. So
Yeah.
we were so inspired by you today, definitely.
oh
Absolutely.
yeah, it most
Your
definitely, man.
story.
It was like a fresh, what's a breath of fresh air. Get tongue tied.
No worries, no worries. Hey man, look, you guys are awesome. Continue to do your thing. It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Feel free to let me know when the next opportunity that I can have on here. Maybe I'll have a better segment for you.
Oh
No,
man, we
this was
appreciate you.
awesome.
You still, I mean, you still do good. We appreciate you taking time to be the skill. Like I told you before we got on the air tonight. I appreciate you for being willing to do this because you didn't have to do that. You could have told me, nah, I don't want to do that. That's not my thing. But that means a lot when you accept the invitation. So that means a lot to us here on the podcast. And like I said, this is going to be up on our YouTube channel. Big shouts out to everybody who's supporting us on YouTube. We up to 89 subscribers now, so big shouts out to that. This is going to be up on Spotify, iHeart as well. So you get the audio, and of course, you get the video version of the podcast on tonight's episode. So as this is going to be shown all across the world, Brandon, do you have any final remarks to the listening audience that's tuning in, or ain't going to tune in the near, present, and future?
Yeah, with working so much, get some sleep. That's what I'm about to do.
You gotta get that rest.
Agree with you, my brother.
Get some rest.
Yes.
Oh, you gotta get that rest. I agree with that. That whole team no sleep. I don't know where people came with that from. Team no sleep. You gotta get some rest. The rest is part of it.
They were sleepy when they hashtag that. That's what it is. They lost oxygen to the brain.
Yeah, rest is so important.
Yes.
Yeah, that rest is important. Even God rests. He told us to rest. So we got to rest. We got to take care of these bodies in order to fulfill the purpose that He's given us in earth. The Bible says He wants us to prosper in our health as well as our soul prosper. So that's another thing. Take care of your bodies. Take care of your mind. I know I take care of my body. I make sure I get the person proper nourishment. Take care of your brain. Take care of your temple, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Lay off the fast food. I know you get hungry and stuff. Discipline yourself. I'm disciplining myself.
I'm like him, man. He said I supposed to be eating a salad, but I want a hamburger. So
yeah, that's my area of concern.
Oh yeah.
I love my
man.
burgers.
But we present for time, man. We appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Like Brandon said, man, get some sleep, get some rest. Take care of yourself.
And I just want to add one last thing. Brandon, I hope you enjoyed this, spending time talking about yourself and sharing your story. I think you were so inspiring, and that there'll be many people who are inspired from your story. So I encourage you to do it more often. I know you probably don't have a lot of time for this, but sometimes they say that people overcome by the word of their testimony. So people, when they hear your testimony and they hear about what you're doing in life, I mean, I'm inspired. I'm like, I'm going to keep getting up at 4 now. So I don't know. I think if the more you can share it, the better for more people. You really impact.
I'll take your advice. I've gotten that a lot and I've ignored it, but I'll start doing more of it. It was great. I mean, the experience was nice, right? So there has to be some starting point. Maybe it was.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Like I said, man, we press for time once again. We thank everybody. Salute everybody. I just want to leave this with everybody. Want and willing is two different things. You can want something, but are you willing to get it? I just want to leave that with y'all tonight. Understand between want and willing. I could want $1 million. The question is, are you willing to get $1 million? Just want to leave that with y'all. tonight. So we're gonna be back here next Tuesday night. Lord stay the same. Very great. We got very great guests lined up for the month of August. So we're very excited about that. That's full. We're working on the September guest. We're gonna be bringing also, man, some life study as well to the podcast. So we may be doing some special editions on Wednesday night also. So, man, big shouts out to everybody. Big shouts out to the team, Kenny, Dannielle, Emo. She was not with us tonight. Big shouts out to her. She does the news. Big shouts out to everybody. Big shouts out to our audience that was tuning in with us tonight. We love y'all, man. God bless y'all. And we're gonna be back here next week. Lord stay the same. See y'all. Peace.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.